Hello, this is Tarik Rever. I wanted to do a video here on a topic. A friend of mine asked me the other day, it's like, why don't you do something in terms of proper ways of energetically shielding and filtering, which are all kind of related when you think about it. So I'm going to go over a couple of steps, even one of my own that I've worked on for a while that seems to work for me, maybe works for you too, and just let me know what you think about it. So this is one scenario. Say you're in like a random public place and you're just trying to pull in energy from the trees, the ambient energy. It's like, essentially like indirect energy, nothing direct, just in your environment, whatever's around you. You're trying to filter in everything and trying to basically be respectful of your environment. It's best to identify your energy, your own vibration first, so you can filter in only the bare essentials around you and nothing too crucial. Here's an example. It's a lot like racquetball or any type of buoyancy type, ball that bounces off the surface and comes back. It's about expansion and contraction. When to let your energy expand and when to let it contract, So it's definitely like it's breathing, it has lungs, so to speak, So when your energy extends out further, you're seeking. And a lot of times you can subconsciously do it, like in your sleep and you're dreaming, for example, especially dreaming. But in a waking state, you can have like a functional waking dream state where you're essentially like, going through the motions, you're doing your thing, going throughout the day, but you still can receive as if you're almost have a second mind processing, so that way you don't always have to be necessarily paranoid or on guard. But part of you is a little bit ready, a little bit up, your guard's a little bit up, your shield's a little bit up, but not overly so. You're not enough to where it stops you from interacting with people. And if it's different from yours, you identify if it's a positive or a negative, or in some cases neutral, but normally it's positive or negative, So is it an addition that you want around you or something you have to repel or shield yourself? So your shielding in a way is within that second layer, because even though that second layer has flexibility, it can stiffen whenever it can harden up and go from jello instead of like this yo-yo kind of thing to like this, granite, copper up to metal, and different grades of density, so you can compress it, so that's another thing too. Expansion and compression. That's all the energy is. It's a regulator. The energy is a regulator. So controlling yourself is all about expanding yourself and compressing yourself, knowing when to and when not to. One thing that's really nice is that there's a couple ways to kind of seek out the vibrational pull, if you were, what's around you, So one is a deeper tone. A lot of Tibetan monks use, for example, the try your best to get deeper, for that. And that's another way to find your own voice too. You start deep and then bring it up. And then if you do the split vibration like I did, and you get different tones within one tone. So you're sort of like, this is important. It sounds weird, I know, but it's good to know it. So say you have a partner that they have like, long-term memory, emotions that have like, that an imprint of like, good and bad, especially the bad. Be careful to respect their privacy, unless they are so close to you, they allow that, somehow tell you. But in most cases, there's some part of them that wants to just keep them to themselves, So, try your best to sort of be respectful of that pathway. There's neural pathways in the mind. There's also neural pathways of the soul. And sometimes the soul's pathways are more open than they should be. Of course, whenever you get that moment where you've gained the trust of someone and if you've earned that trust, just remember to take it slow. So I suggest that your energy, you tread softly, basically. You tread softly, be very respectful of them. If your partner moves, then you move. You move and they move. It's an exchange. And it could be a very sustaining one too, especially once you get used to it. Also take in extra energy and put it to the side, save it for later. It's like a rainy day, literally, a day that's, is just there's nothing around you, it's desolate, and that way, you're more yourself. It's tough whenever you meet people like us and you haven't met them the first time, like first impressions. If you meet someone, especially if you're a newbie, or even for now, they offer moments, but it's best to take in some energy, set it aside. That way you meet someone like us, or at the very least another empath, then you're in a better place because they're more sensitive to you. And science has even captured moments where they see heat temperatures come off certain people, certain radio waves emit from different people, and when they're in sort of an emotional state, a highly emotional state. So being empathic is a lot of us are essentially empathic by nature, and that is just grown and manifested in different facsimiles of that core based upon your practices. So if you're empathic and then you work on your psychic intuitions, that's one way that can be expressed. And of course there's other ways to show empathy and sense other people's emotions. And then you also can project, and that's another thing you have to be careful with, not to project when you're not supposed to, unless you need help and you're projecting to seek help from others, or you're communicating with someone that's allowing that form of communication, but only to those that are open to. But yeah, I guess what I'm saying with that is that this identifying your core energy, your spiritual signature, is the first step to everything, whether it be shielding, communication, psychic. One thing to remember also is that not only do people emit energy, but like there's certain events that ripple, or can tear, so to speak, and if they're traumatic enough, so you're going to a place that has a long history of basically like trauma, whether it be hospitals, Jefferson Davis Hospital, for example. I've been in that place. Wow, I totally felt it there, as a good example. But yeah, basically, here's a rundown of that. So like I was saying, like the luminous egg, so you have your first layer, which is your core layer, and then you have your second layer, which is when you extend. Imagine what that is like sonar, like a bat. You take like that sound or that pitch, it could be silent, and let it go out, and it echoes back, but it echoes back sometimes sounds differently. If the environment is gravity is so strong, it contrasts with yours and comes back, and your pitch sounds different to you or feels different to you, then that's a force that's totally different from yours. So that works with a lot of different things. So in terms of your own pitch, you can also use that, and whether it's ritualistic magic or speaking in different languages for certain purposes, whether it be Latin or whatever it is, that tone is a very sort of like direct phenomenon. Like that tone has been happening for thousands of years in different cultures, and so I think it really lends itself nicely to ritualistic magic. So, or even in English, so you're speaking that tone. In matter of speech, this tone has many capabilities. So, for example, every object around you, scientifically speaking, has atomic weight, the rate at which it breaks down, degrades, and also the rate at which it vibrates too, and it has its own pitch. So more than just your own body, I believe that just how we have our own place in this world in some way or another, that has its own frequency, its own flow, its fingerprint, if you will. So that fingerprint can really manifest, when you really need it the most. So when someone else around you, say someone else has a pitch, and their pitch sounds, or it feels to you more like, ooh, That's a meditative pitch, by the way. But in terms of finding your pitch, really that especially that first time, you had to go through frequencies like range, almost like music, you know, especially music, in fact, you know. So here's an example of that, finding that range. And then like I have like a certain feeling right here that feels like it's getting deeper, and that's when I know I'm like closer to like the edge of what that really is for me, you know. But yeah, everybody has their own style. Say something, whatever comes to mind, I guess you can say. Now I'm using from deep within my internal core. You'll hear more like 1, 2, or 3. Yeah, so I'll feel it deep within like that, for example. So this internal voice, you can actually use it out loud sometimes, and sometimes you don't have to use it out loud at all. Once you have the feel, you feel the vibration inside you, you can recreate it within yourself. But first, it's good to do it externally. Aromatherapy is a big deal. Oil is a really good thing. Jasmine, all kinds. I love jasmine, for example. Egyptian musk, for example. That's my favorite one. That one's. I smell that, I'm literally like in heaven. I'm like, I cannot have a bad day with that smell. I don't know what it is, you know. So something like that happens, you know, have it in your pocket, like bam, I got it right here, you know, or just have it on you, you know, and it gives you a sense of, you know, of self, you know. It's a good thing. So remember who you are. Take it slow. Have your shielding. Use that second shield to expand and contract. And whenever you're in a new place and you're not sure what's going on, don't project fear, because that, you know, predators can sense that. You know, have a sense. Maybe we're in the oil and you're a good person. You feel good. Have a ripple effect. You can sense what's around you. Well, I guess that's it for now. But like, if you have any more suggestions or topics, I think that's really cool to have feedback in terms of, like, you know, certain interests you're interested in, and we all talk about, or maybe make your own video too if you like. But for videos I'm working on, yeah, definitely drop something in the comments. Say, hey, you know, how about this topic? That'd be kind of cool. So I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Lies mask you from